All right, Shalom. This is the I.S.U.P.K Wednesday law class. Also, remember, check out Commanding General YAHANNA's radio show, which is Monday, 2 a.m. Which is Monday, 2 a.m. UK time. Also, check out the classes we have here in the UK. We have classes live Monday. This way.
What did you use me?
Yeah.
Using it?
Yeah.
All right, cool.
So we have classes Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, 394 Lodge Road, B18 5PW, 7 p.m. till 9. We also have online classes Tuesday, Friday, Brotherhood, and the Lasher on Kodash. So that's 7 p.m. till 9 online. We also have the radio show on the ends. Log into that Friday, 9 p.m. until 11. Feel free to send us some stories, whatever articles you come across, whatever you want us to break down, all of those kind of things. Just send them. Send them to the school. Send them to us via WhatsApp or whatever. Email them to us to send us the stories that you want to hear on the ends, and then we'll go over them. Usually we go over a ton of things happening in the UK. Soon we're going to be going over what's his name? What's his name when he's about to be Prime Minister? Rishi Sunak or whatever. All of those things, we go over those things, man. We shouldn't be voting and we shouldn't care who's in office. Like, I'll be at the slave and I'll be hearing people talk about politics and how this man's wife's a billionaire and how he's just made the country poorer and he shouldn't have the right to be in office. Listen, you should see these Edomites, man. They're mad. Really, they don't care about the work that he does with them. They base it on race. And these Edomites don't want him in office because of his race. And we should look at this the same way, man. We should be like, we can't have them in office because of their race. That's right. If we had as much integrity as these Edomites, man, maybe we wouldn't be in the situation that we're in. If we had some integrity, if we had as much integrity as them, maybe we wouldn't put other races on a pedestal. Because we lack integrity and honor and respect for our ancestors and all of these things, we put every race on a pedestal, man. And then what happens to us? We at the bottom, man. We too busy. We think small. We in the hood, killing and shooting each other, and everybody else is thinking about politics and property and all of those things. And then you ask us what are we thinking about? A little bag of weed, man. A little bag of pills. With us, we're doing things on Instagram, putting our locate. Do you see that the brother that put his location on Instagram? If you want smoke, pull up outside my house in 5 minutes.
God.
You see?
Nah, but see, man, did that a lot.
He done it, and they pulled upon him and killed him. So listen, man, we need to start doing these things, doing all these things for the internet. But anyway, let me go into my topic. Give me a Deuteronomy chapter 32 and verse 7. Also, any questions, just type them in the chat and we'll get to them.
Deuteronomy 32 and 7. Remember the days of old.
The Bible says, remember the days of old. So we must remember the past, man. We have the right to talk about our oppression. We have the right to talk about what we're going through. We have the right to talk about reparations and not being appreciated and being oppressed in England. We have the right to talk about all of these things, man. Like, listen, man, the way they try to hush us, every time a black man talks about it, white people get so mad. All you use like do is talk about slavery. Get over it. It's old news. That was time ago. Listen, man, we're talking about our trauma, man. The thing is this. I should read that one more time.
Remember the days of old. Consider the years of many generations.
It says, remember the days of old. Consider the years of many generations. And how do you consider the years of many generations? You go back in time, man. You find out what happened many generations ago. You find out your background, where you came from, who your family is, what your family went through. Because what they went through it affects you till this day, man. And the Bible says, remember the days of old, consider many generations, man. Ask your grandparents, what was it like? Ask them, what did their parents tell them? What did their parents tell them? Because we're a nation of people who's been in slavery for so long. And when we talk about it, it's like everybody tells us to shut up, man. Get over it. That was ages ago. Listen, man, when a woman gets raped, she has counseling and talks about it, man. She goes on the news and talks about it. She goes on the news and says, this is what happened to me. I don't want nobody else to go through this. and everybody sympathizes and understands what she went through was sad and it was horrible, and everybody has compassion onto her. But when it comes to black people and we talk about our trauma, get over it. Millions of our sisters was raped, man. When we talk about it, what do they say to us? That's in the past. Get over it. We have the right to talk about our oppression, man. We have the right to talk about what we've been through. And if you don't want us to talk about it, maybe you shouldn't have put us through it, man.
That's right.
If you didn't want us to talk about it, you shouldn't have put us through it. Then we wouldn't have nothing to talk about. But the trauma that you put us through, we have a lot to talk about, man. And we're going to talk about it. And it makes people uncomfortable. You say in front of an Edomite, well, the reason I speak English is because I was colonized by British people. And they look at you up and down like, you ain't got the right to say that. You're just speaking facts, man. The reason we speak this language is because we've been colonized by the British. So we speak English, man. The reason why our brothers speak French is why? They've been colonized by the French.
That's right.
They've been the others been colonized by the Spanish and the Portuguese. And we have the right to talk about these things. I have the right to say in front of my son, don't ever date one of them women because it's against God. And their forefathers hated your forefathers,
That's
man.
right.
I've got the right to say to my daughter, don't ever bring one of them. Don't ever bring one of them boys home, man. Why? Because it's against God. And they had to force your great-grandmothers to have sex with them, and they had to force themselves upon her. They had to pin her arms down and force themselves upon her while she was screaming no and stop. And we have the right to talk about it, man. We have the right to talk about it in great detail. And people don't like it when we talk about the facts. Why? Because it shames them, man. And we should talk about it. And listen, man. Hold on. Let me get one of my let me get a definition. Give me 1 second.
Yeah.
This one. Let me get my definition of therapy. The right one. Oh, I got a dictionary here. One of the best dictionaries I've ever had. One of the best dictionaries I've ever had. Hold on. Let me just share the screen. Damn, the screen was. Oh, yeah. You know, I used it in a while. Hold on. So, my word for today is therapy. So, let's look at the definition of.
Invisible.
Yeah.
Invisible.
So it says therapy is treatment intended to relieve or heal a disorder, and calling the white man the devil is healing, man.
That's right.
Realizing that he's the devil is healing, man.
That's right.
Once we realize that he's the devil, and we went through what we went through because this devil can't keep his hands off of black people, and our women he raped, our sisters he raped, our sons he raped. Listen, man, you think there was just raping women? There was raping boys too, man. They was raping men too. And they tell us we can't talk about it. With slavery, people just think, okay, yeah, picking cotton and leave it at that. Nah, man, it was a lot more than that, man. It was you trying to go to bed at nighttime and someone's coming in your room and raping you, man. You're lying in your slave quarters, man, in the wooden shack. And a man opens the door and he's raping you, man. He sends your husband to go fetch some wood somewhere. And this man's raping you while he sent him out, man. And imagine this. The only man you're supposed to be having sex with, your husband, comes back and sees you on the bed, your knees to your chest, your head in your knees, crying. He's asking what's wrong. And you say, master just raped me. And imagine that. Your wife says that and there's nothing you can do about it, man. There's nothing you can do about it. All you can do is punch thin air. And there's nothing you can do. All you can do is punch. And the master, if the master sees you punching the thin air, he's coming to whip you, man. There's nothing you can do about it. Still showing you. There's nothing you can do about it apart from cry, scream, shout. But you can't get hands on, man. Why? Because there's no army behind you, and the law is against you, and the law is on their side, and everybody's against you, man. And these are the things they tell us we shouldn't talk about. They say we should forget these things, and we should move on. Meanwhile, you've got a daughter, and your daughter's barely 10 years old, and this oppressor's looking at her like she's a grown woman. And imagine, there's nothing you can say. And now we do have a voice. We do have freedom of speech of religion and freedom of speech in England. We're going to say something about it, man.
That's right.
Because our ancestors that couldn't speak on them things in the past, we're going to speak on them on their behalf, man. What they wanted to say is the white man is the devil, man.
That's right.
But they couldn't say it back then. Why? Because they'll get whipped and lynched and whatnot. Now that England's got this thing called freedom of speech, we're going to exercise our rights to this freedom of speech and call this oppressor the devil, man. And it's therapeutic when you say it, man. When you say it, it eases the stress a little bit, man. So let's read therapy. Treatment intended to relieve or heal a disorder. Says the treatment of mental conditions by verbal communication and interaction. And my verbal communication from now is the white man's the devil, man.
That's right.
That's my therapy and that's my verbal communication, man. People get mad when we say this. Oh, you are stuck on the past. Therapy is verbal communication. And when we go out to camp, this is our therapy, man.
That's right.
And it's our verbal communication. And England said we have the right to do that, man. England said we have the right to exercise our freedom of speech. And that's what we're going to do. So we're going to go out there and it's therapy. So let's read it from the top. Treatment intended to relieve or heal a disorder. Synonyms is treatment. It says remedy, cure. Listen, man, once you get that off your chest on the mic, listen, man, you feel a kind of relief. Like you feel a kind of relief. Join the I.S.U.P.K and you'll know exactly what I'm talking about.
That's right.
Like if you're not in the I.S.U.P.K, well, I probably won't expect you to understand. But being in the I.S.U.P.K, you understand. So it says the treatment of mental conditions by verbal communication and interaction. And listen, man, everybody uses verbal interaction. What happens? Rape victims, they get to tell their side of the story. But when it comes to black people, we can't tell our side of the story. We can't say a thing. But in here, we're going to tell our side of the story, man.
That's right.
We're going to speak about this oppression. We're going to speak about everything that we go through. We're going to speak about black people's troubles. We're going to speak about what these oppressors do to us. And we're not going to stop. Because this is our therapy. Read that from the top. Deuteronomy 32.
Remember the days of old.
It says, remember the days of old. So don't forget. Because if you forget where you're coming from, you're not going to know where you're going, man.
That's right.
You're not going to know who to avoid. You're not going to know who to stay away from. So remember the days of old. Ask your parents, what was life like growing up? Now, most of our parents is probably Christian and they love their religion. But if you ask them about the oppressor, like, so what was it like in your days? They will still tell you about this racism. Even though they live in a very fairy tale Christian world, they will still tell you in their day there was tons of racism. They would call you black, they would call you this, they would call you that. They'll still tell you all of this. So ask them, man, remember the days of old, go get a history book and so forth, and you will see what black people have been through is horrendous, and what we're still going through is horrendous. Read on.
That's right. Done. Consider the years of many generations.
Consider the years of many generations, man. You go back in time, you go back to the 1400s, man.
That's right.
You go back to the days when they started shipping us overseas, man, putting us in cotton fields. You go back to them days and do your research on how it was and how long we was in captivity for. And really, we're still in there, man. The only difference is now you're not on the cotton field. The only difference is now you just get minimum wage. That's it. Back then, the difference was you was making coffee for free, making sandwiches for free. Whereas now, you just make coffees in Starbucks now for minimum wage. Mm-hmm. You just make sandwiches in Subway now for minimum wage. Imagine this, one Subway sandwich. Have you noticed one Subway sandwich costs more than how much you're getting paid an hour?
Oh, yeah.
Listen, that Subway shit's expensive, you know. I went the other day, got one sandwich and a drink, and it come up to £10.70. Afterwards, I was like, what am I doing? Listen, man, imagine that Subway sandwich costs more than you get paid for 1 hour of work, man. And they make that sandwich in like, what, 30 seconds? Listen, man, inflation, it's gone through the roof, but drop that, give me... Sorry, no, give me Proverbs chapter 16 and verse 2. And also, what we need to do is leave all these religions. Why? Because Christianity never helped us when we was in slavery, man. It didn't help us one bit. When we was getting our back beat and crying and our children sold to other plantations, we prayed to white Jesus, man. And white Jesus didn't come and save us, man. The thing is this. You praying to white Jesus is like you calling the policeman. The police don't come and help black people. The police come and do more harm than good. Go ahead.
Proverbs 16:2. All the ways of a man are clean in his own eyes.
All the ways of a man are clean in his own eyes. Go ahead.
But the Lord way
and to these oppressors, their ways was clean. Slavery was clean. Killing us was clean. Beating us and raping us and robbing us. In their eyes, it was clean. Because they have these terms where they say things like slavery was good because we civilized you black people. In their ways, that's clean. Slavery is good. We civilized you black people. Because before we enslaved you black people, you was in Africa swinging from trees butt naked. That's what they teach black people. Before we enslaved you, you was uncivilized. You was uncivilized and we civilized you. That's what they teach. Not realizing black people was running Europe, man. Black people was running Europe.
That's right.
They don't want to tell you that. They make out like that we was just a strange race of people with no brains or whatsoever. But if you do some history, you will see that the monarchs from certain eras, some of them was black. You'll see that black people ran Europe. You'll see that black people ran Scotland, Ireland, all these places. This is the history that they don't tell you, man.
That's right.
They don't tell you this history. They ain't gonna tell you that King James was black. And if King James was black, King James had a son called Charles I, which makes Charles I black. He had a son called Charles II, which makes Charles II black. Black people ran Europe, man. Before, obviously, before what? The Queen and all her family and the House of Hanover and all of them started sitting on the throne. Before that, it was what? The House of Stuart, man, that was running England and so forth. But this is the side of history that they don't tell you, man. They just make you believe, you know what? You're a slave. You're swinging from a tree in Africa, and we civilized you. When really, we was the one who taught them everything that they know, man. We taught them everything that they know. Read on.
Go on. But the Lord weigheth the spirits.
Go ahead.
Commit thy works unto the Lord, and thy thoughts shall be established.
And this is what we should do. Commit our thoughts unto the Lord, man. And our thoughts shall be established. We should serve the Lord in everything, man. We shouldn't even worry about this oppressor. We should serve the Lord in everything. Why? Because this oppressor's day is coming. Let him think his ways are clean. Let him think what he done is right. Let him think that God forgives him for slavery. Let him believe that in his mind. But read on.
The Lord have made all things for himself.
The Lord have made all things for himself. Go ahead.
Yea, even the wicked for the day of evil.
And the Lord's made the wicked for the day of evil, man. And people will say, oh, well, if God loves everybody, no, if God doesn't love everybody, why has he made everybody? Why is everybody here? Read that part one more time. This is why some people are here.
The Lord God have made all things for himself.
The Lord made all things for himself, meaning the Lord made what? A people to love, a people to hate.
That's right.
Some people as just some extras. Let's say life is one big movie. You got the main character, the good guy, the bad guy. Everybody else is just an extra. We the good people, the Israelites. These oppressors is the devil. And half these other nations, the Hawaiians, like, why are they even? They don't even barely exist. So like
Tracy.
what's that black man? Winston. They're like Winston and his standards. They barely exist, man. They're just there just to be there. I don't know what their purpose is. What the Lord said, He created all things for himself. Go ahead.
Yea, even the wicked for the day of evil.
Even the wicked for the day of evil. And these oppressors is created for the day of evil. Though they live in luxury like right now, though they live in good right now, though they're on top of the world right now, the Lord's created them for the day of evil. They ain't going to be living the way they're living in a minute. Once Christ returns, it's done for them, man. Their reign is over. For now, they're living good. They're living a life of luxury. They own everything. They're in charge of everything. Strongest military. They got all their empires. They bully smaller nations. They oppress smaller nations. But the time's coming when the Lord's going to destroy them, man. Right now, people look at them and think, I want to be white because everything that they've got. I want to be white because they have life good. They have life easy. But the time's coming when the Lord's going to destroy them, man. The Bible says the Lord created the wicked for the day of destruction, man. And that's what they're created for. And if we don't change our life, we're going to be destroyed right along with them. If we love them, we're going to be destroyed right along with them. So what do we need to do as Israelites? Stop loving them, man.
That's right.
Stop joining ourselves into them, because we're going to be destroyed right along with them. You can drop that. Give me a Proverbs chapter. Jump to verse 18, actually.
Come on. 16:18, yeah?
Yeah, go ahead.
Proverbs 16:18. Pride goeth before destruction.
And they're full of pride, man. They're full of pride. Like, they're so prideful that what? You can't even grieve in peace. You can't even reminisce about what your people went through. You can't even cry for your loved ones. You can't do nothing, man. All you have to do is go to work and make the money. Go to work and make the money. That's all that's all they expect us to do. And they're proud with it, man. Oh, you black people, go back to your own country. You black people, you're all criminals. You black people, you ain't the Israelites. You ain't God's chosen people. You are just slaves. All of these things, man. They're proud. And let them be proud. Why? Because the prouder they are, the better their destruction is going to be, man. One day we're going to look at them and say, is this the... So, okay, hold that. Get me that one. Where is it? Is this the man? Is it Isaiah 14? Yeah, is it?
God. Isaiah 14:16. They that see thee shall narrowly look upon thee.
And now this same man that was full of pride, that was running the earth, that had the whole earth afraid of him. No one could utter a word in front of this man, because this man's been the great beast of the earth. This man's been the great red dragon that bombs countries, that throws you in jail, that runs everything, that has power all over the world. We're going to narrowly look on this same man who's full of pride, this man who thinks is above God, this man who thinks is better than God, who thinks black people is a doormat. We're going to read these black people who he looks at as a doormat, who he looks at as nothing. Us same people, is going to look on this man narrowly. Go ahead.
And consider thee.
And we're going to look and weigh up, because we know what this man's done. We know how this man's run the earth. We know how this man's been full of pride, and this man's been filthy rich and lived a life of luxury and had the best life that life could offer. We've seen him have that life, and then now we've seen the other side. So us poor people who's at the bottom, who wanted to be like them, who said, you know what, I want their life. Now we're looking at them narrowly. Go ahead.
Saying, is this the man?
And we're going to not believe it. We're going to be like, is this the man? This can't be that same man that was filthy rich. This can't be the same man that had us picking cotton and cutting cane and coffee beans and all of them things. We're going to say this ain't the same man that navigated the ship that took us across the sea to a whole nother land. We're going to be saying this can't be the same man. This same man that we went to get our passport. The same man that we went to find out if we can leave the country. The same man that was the judge in court. That was the judge, the prosecutor, and the jury in court. We're going to be like, hey, this can't be the same man. We're going to be like, is this the man? Go ahead.
Is this the man that made the earth to tremble?
And we're going to see this man in a different light. And we're going to be like, is this the same man that caused the earth to tremble? Meaning everyone was afraid of this man. No one said a word in front of this man. Everyone shut their mouth when this man spoke. Once this man said to your country, you better do this, every country does it, man. Once this man says we're going to invade your country if you don't do this, every country listens. We're going to look and say, is this the man? Go ahead.
And did shake kingdoms.
And did shake kingdoms, man. And he shakes kingdoms when he drops bombs on them, man.
That's right.
He will go drop bombs on all these countries. And what he does is, when he's trying to shoot one target, he shoots his airstrikes and kills them little Iraqi kids in the process as well, man. Like, have you noticed, if when these terrorists over here blow up something, they say he blew up innocent people. But when they drop bombs on other countries, they don't see them other kids as innocent, man. Listen, the British man knows how to go to war. He knows how to go to war, and he knows how to win, and he knows how to be not guilty while doing it, man. He knows how to make nobody have no compassion while doing it, man. And this man is a master in killing, and we're going to look and say, is this the man that caused the earth to tremble when he drops bombs on children and starves you to death? Make sure you don't eat, man. There's one country where I think it was Ireland, they were sending in they were sending in food for them, because obviously they had a great famine. It's called the potato famine. So they were sending in tons of food for them, and the British man didn't give them the food. He kept it and made them work for the food, made them work for the scraps of the food. These times, every nation gave them food which was free. So when black people are giving money to this oppressor for Haiti and those places, understand that your money is not really going there, man. Understand the same way your money didn't go to the Irish, your money is not going to the Haitians, man. Your money ain't going to where you send it. You think I'm doing God a good service by what? Donating to the oppressor's charity. You're not doing it right, man. You donate to the I.S.U.P.K, man.
Right.
Because we send barrels to the Caribbean, man. We send barrels to Jamaica, Trinidad, Haiti, everywhere, man. We have food drives in the UK. All your donations, if you want to do something pleasing to God, all of your donations should come here. You're giving donations to a man that ain't donating it, man. Them donations ain't donating. Them donations ain't donating, man. They ain't going nowhere where you think they're going. And this is why all the countries that you try to donate money to, they're still poor. They're still suffering. Because it doesn't really go there. This oppressor takes it and keeps it for himself. Go ahead.
That's true, because my parents said from they was young, there's always been adverts about Africa starving. And, England's a big place. And not England as well. England and all countries donate a little £2. The amount of billions that must be generated by now over the years. Like we're adults now. And places in Africa are still starving. Like that money can't go in this.
Yeah, all them £2. What's the next one that they do once a year with the bear?
That the Carpet Relief.
Is it Children in Need?
Red Nose Day, Junior Need.
Yeah. Where do they claim that money goes?
To Africa as well. Or much sure.
Is it? I don't think it goes. I don't know. How much money do they get from that? I think they get quite a lot. I think. Hold on, let me see how much they get. Let's see how much money Children in Need get. How much money has Children in Need raised? Yeah.
Man, that shit's
Yeah, that's
rappers make that kind of money.
I think that's over. That's 1 year though. That's just 2020. Yeah, it's kind of crap though.
Countries more than that still.
Yeah, so this is saying they made 37 million. Nah, that's not. Yeah, how much money has? Let me check. I thought 37 million. Are we saying that's rubbish? Like we've even seen the $500,000. We saying it's rubbish. Like we've even seen the $500,000. We ain't even seen a quarter of it. Do you think in your lifetime you've gone over $500,000? Nah. You think?
I'm 16 to know.
You think? It says Oxfam in 2021, Oxfam raised 105 million through donations. Yeah. 105 million, that's decent, but where's the money? We ain't seen $500,000 in the UK, man. Well, in the Caribbean or countries that need it. We ain't seen none of that, man. They say Oxfam made 105 million. They probably made a lot more than that, but they're probably, messing with the figures and keeping some for themselves. Was there anyone that verse or?
More on this one.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
No. That made the world as a wilderness.
That made the world as a wilderness, man. This man makes the world as a wilderness. He destroys everything, man. Even where animals live, wildlife ain't even there no more, man. Because this man does what? Even makes the animals leave their habitations, man. He makes this world like a wilderness. He makes this world like a wilderness. Hold on, let me pick it up in here. Hold on, give me 1 second. Isaiah. The book of Isaiah, chapter, hold on. Verse 17, that made the world as a wilderness and destroyed the cities thereof. And he makes this world as a wilderness, man. He destroys cities. He'll come to your city and wipe it out, drop bombs on it, and what's left? Rubble. Your houses is destroyed. Nothing's left. This man destroys cities thereof. Let's read on. That open not the house of his prisoners. And that man, this is your life, man. You're the prisoner in this man's house. In this man's house, we the prisoners, and they don't open the doors, man. And this is why we'll be doing 30 years for what other nations get 5 years for. We'll be doing 20 years for what other nations get 3 years for. We are an oppressed people. Why? Because we're ruled over by these oppressors, man, that harm us, that hurt us, that abuse us. And all they do is abuse black people. All they do is abuse black and Hispanic people. They beat us half to death. The police shoot us for no reason. We can't do nothing, man. Cities thereof that open not the house of his prisoners. All the kings of the nations, even all of them. Hold on, that was it on that. All right, let's go to Isaiah chapter 2 and verse 11. Let's go to Isaiah chapter 2 and verse 11. Also, any questions, just type them in. So we're in the book of Isaiah chapter 2 and verse 11. Says the lofty, hold on. Says the lofty looks of man shall be humbled. And lofty is another word for someone high up. And this devil is high up, man. It's high up. And it's about time he gets humbled. He's about to be humbled, man, for his treatment of black people. He's about to be humbled for his treatment of black and Hispanic people, man. And he needs to be brought low. And the Lord's going to humble him. And he deserves it. He needs humbling more than anybody else. Because he's gotten proud. And he's gotten so proud. And let him get more proud and more proud. Because what does the Bible say? Pride comes before destruction, man. So let them get as proud and comfortable and feel like they're going to be sitting on their seat and on their throne forever, thinking about they're going to be sitting on the seat of authority forever, because the time's coming when they're going to be removed out of that seat. And they need to be removed out of that seat. Why? So you can sit in that seat. This world ain't seen peace since black people's ruling, man. Since we start ruling this earth, this world ain't seen peace. This world ain't seen peace and righteousness and none of these things since we stopped ruling. All this world since we stopped ruling is murder, injustice, nothing's fair. And this is why we need to be ruling, man. While they're ruling, you should look at their reign and realize how horrible life is under these people. And then look at when black people's ruling, read some history. You'll see the earth was at peace, man. You'll see the earth was at peace and everybody was happy. Everyone was following God's laws. Since this man's took over, God's laws is almost invisible, man, forgotten about. Under this man's rule, it's like God's laws don't exist, even though he tells you this is a Christian country. This is a Christian country. It don't sound very Christian to me when they killed Mark Duggan, man. It don't sound very Christian to me when they killed Rashawn Charles and all the other black men. And don't sound very Christian to me when they shot the sister in her back and paralyzed her. What was her name again? I can't remember her name, but Cherry Gross. That don't sound very Christian to me. But this is meant to be a Christian country. But they ain't very Christian when it comes to black people. They harm, kill, search, and destroy us, man. Let's read on. It says, the lofty looks of man shall be humbled, and the haughtiness of men shall be bowed down, and the Lord alone shall be exalted. And this man thinks he's above God, man. The day is coming when this man is going to be no longer exalted. We like to exalt this man, but the day is coming when this man is going to be no longer exalted, and only the Lord is going to be exalted how it should be. Nobody likes to exalt the Lord. They like to exalt this oppressor, and they want him in office, and they want him to be prime minister and ruler of the country and all of these things. But the day is coming when this man's loftiness is going to be humbled. He's going to be brought down low, and the Lord's going to be exalted only. Let's read on. In that day, it says, for the day of the Lord of hosts shall be upon everyone that is proud and lofty. And this man is proud and lofty, man. Is proud, is high-minded, He thinks he's better than everybody. He thinks he's God himself, and he's proud and lofty, man. And listen, the Lord's going to come and deal with him. Let's read on. And upon everyone that is lifted up, and he shall be brought low. And like we was reading in Isaiah 14, we're going to look upon this man and say, is this the man? The reason we're going to say that, why? Is because this man is going to be brought low. This man is going to be brought low, meaning this man is going to be the scum of the earth, man. This man is finally going to be in the position that he's supposed to be in. And his position is supposed to be the scum of the earth. That was never supposed to rule over us. That was never supposed to oppress us and rule over us. But the thing is this, obviously we decided not to serve God. So then they got up over us, man. They got over us. It says, everyone that is lifted up, and he shall be brought low. And upon all the cedars of Lebanon that are high and lifted up, and upon all the oaks of Bashan, and upon all the high mountains, and upon all the hills that are lifted up. Obviously, the mountains and the hills is just like your governments and your big governments, your small governments. That's what your mountains and your hills and all of those things are. It's just like your governing bodies in your countries, so forth. And upon every high tower, and upon every fence wall, and upon all the ships of Tarshish, and upon all pleasant pictures, and the loftiness of man shall be bowed down, and the haughtiness of men shall be made low, and the Lord alone shall be exalted in that day. And the idols he shall utterly abolish. And the idols he's going to utterly abolish. There's going to come a time when what? Nobody's going to be able to worship idols. If you want to worship idols, you better enjoy that now, because the time's coming when there's going to be no more worshiping of idols. All your idols are going to be destroyed, and the days are going to come when the Lord decides his visitation. You're going to realize them idols ain't worth nothing. You're going to run and throw them idols away, man. You're going to run and pop that Jesus piece off your neck. You're going to throw that diamond Jesus piece in the trash, man. Once you realize these idols can't save you. Every minute you're picking up the chain and kissing it and all of those things. Listen, man. When the Lord comes, you're going to realize kissing this Jesus piece was worthless. You're going to rip that Jesus piece off and realize it don't mean nothing. You're going to flee and throw that. You're going to run one way and throw that Jesus piece the other way. It says, and the idols he shall utterly abolish, and they shall go into the holes of the rocks and into the caves of the earth. And they're going to go hide themselves, man. They're going to hide themselves. Why? Because they're going to realize the Lord is nothing to play with. We've been taught about this Christian God. We've been taught about this soft God that loves everybody and wouldn't hurt a fly. We've been taught about that God, but we ain't been taught about the God who drowned the Egyptians, man. We ain't been taught about the God who gave who gave them Philistines hemorrhoids and so forth. We ain't taught about that God, man, who killed our oppressors. We haven't been taught about that God, but who we have been taught about is a God that loves everybody, and everybody dies and goes to heaven, and we all go to a place in the sky, and in that place in the sky there's no male, no female, and you're genderless, and you live happily ever after. That's what Christianity teaches us, man, because they don't understand the scriptures. They think no male, no female means what? You're going to be in the kingdom genderless. That don't make no sense, man. That just means whether male or female, you both can serve Christ. That's what that means, man. They make out like you're going to die and be genderless, and you're in heaven somewhere where you're transgender, where you can be whatever you want to be. That's Christianity, man. That's Christianity. That's not the Bible. That's not the word of the Lord. They teach you their religion, man, which is garbage, because they don't understand these scriptures. It wasn't given to them to understand these records and these scriptures. You want understanding of these scriptures? You better be in these I.S.U.P.K classes, man. That's where you get the breakdowns. Let's read on. And they shall go into the holes of the rocks and into the caves of the earth for fear of the Lord and for the glory of his majesty, when he ariseth to shake terribly the earth. And the Lord's coming to shake up this earth, man. The Lord's come to shake up this earth. There's going to be fire and all these things when the Lord comes, man. Fire, destruction, killing. Listen, man. All these things is going to take place. And what side do we need to be on? The side of the Lord. Either you need to pick a side. Are you going to be on the side of the Lord or the side of the oppressor? You need to pick one. But let me give you the heads up. If you're on the side of the oppressor, you are going to die and you're going to lose. And if you're on the side of the Lord, you're going to be victorious. So it's up to you which side are you on, man. Do you want to be victorious and roll with the Lord, or do you want to roll with this oppressor and die along with him, man? The choice is yours. Your lifestyle choices determines which side you're on, man. You going to church every Sunday determines which side you're on. You breaking God's laws determines which side you're on. Your actions determine which side you're on. When you arise to shake terribly the earth, in that day, a man shall cast his idols of silver and his idols of gold. And a man's going to throw away his idols of silver and his idols of gold. Says, which they made each one for himself to worship. And you go to that jeweler and you say, give me that Jesus piece, and bust it down with diamonds. And then you put that Jesus piece on along with the praying hands. And you think that brings you closer to God, man. You think that Jesus piece brings you closer to God. And the day is coming when all that money you spent, you're going to realize it's a waste of money, man. Once the Lord causes this earth to tremble, man. Once the Lord comes and sends his angels on this earth to cause destruction, man, and destroy all the people that didn't serve him, you're going to realize you served idols your whole life and it was pointless. You're going to realize you joined the oppressor's religion and it was pointless. You're going to realize you sat in the Catholic Church for all these years and it was pointless. All them sermons you got from the Catholic Church, you're going to realize it was pointless, man. I sat in church all these years. I sat in the Catholic Church all these years. I sat in the mosque all these years. If you don't repent now in this day, you're going to realize it was pointless. And by then, it might be too late. Mercy runs out, man. There's a time when mercy runs out. Now is the time for mercy, but there's a time when mercy runs out. Let's read on. In that day, a man shall cast his idols of silver and his idols of gold, which they made each one for himself to worship, to moles and to the backs, to go into the clefts of the rocks and into the tops of the ragged rocks for fear of the Lord. And listen, man, that's what they're going to do, man. They're going to hide themselves. They're going to go under the ground to hide. They're going to hide themselves. They're going to dig holes and try to hide in there and so forth. So we need to stop worshiping idols, man. We worship everything nowadays. We've become superstitious. Like we're scared to walk on free cracks on the pavement. We're scared to walk through underneath a road sign. Remind me one day, I need to go do a tape on it. Listen, I'm going to walk on them free cracks in the ground. I'm going to break a mirror to show you that all of that stuff is garbage, man. I'm going to do all of this to show you that that stuff is garbage because black people fear all of that. Listen, all these superstitions that black people are afraid of, I'm going to go do every last one. I'm going to disrespect every last one to show you that we're afraid of garbage, man. How are you afraid to walk on 3 drain pipes talking about it gives you bad luck? Listen, I'm going to walk on 6 of them if that's the case. You talk about a mirror gives you 7 years bad luck. I'm going to break 7 mirrors then just to prove to you that all this superstitious stuff is garbage, man. We've become a superstitious people when we should just serve the Lord. Once you serve the Lord, guess what? You're no longer open to believe in all kind of nonsense and all kind of garbage. Once you serve the Lord, you're no longer afraid of these wild superstitions. You're no longer afraid of walking in between a road sign. You're no longer afraid of walking on free drains. All it is drains, man. You're scared of walking under the sign. All that sign does is shows you directions to your location, man. You're scared of breaking the mirror. All the mirror does is you just see your reflection. You get 7 years bad luck. Listen, man, I'm going to break a mirror. I'm going to walk on them signs. Listen, man, all these next ones, don't cross each other on the stairs. It gives bad luck. I'm going to cross on the stairs, man. All of these ones, don't step over somebody that won't grow. All of this is garbage, man. But we believe these superstitions. All of these next ones, don't open the umbrella in the house. It brings witches. Listen, man, being from Caribbean descent, you hear all of these silly superstitions. And guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to do every last one just to show you that it's garbage, man. Just to show you that you should fear the Lord instead of these superstitions. We fear these superstitions more than we fear the Lord. Imagine you're scared to walk somewhere because you think you're going to get bad luck. Like being under this devil ain't bad luck as it is. Listen, man, I'm going to disrespect every last one of them. Anyway, before I go off topic, let me get my next preset. Hold on, where was I? All right, we're going to go to Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 49. Also, any questions, just type them in. So in the book of Deuteronomy. Hold on, give me a second. All right, we're in Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 49. Says, the Lord shall bring a nation against thee from far, from the end of the earth. And this nation came from far, man. They came from the other end of the earth, man. We was lands apart, we was water apart. And what did they do? Came on a slave ship to put us on there, man. To carry us to a whole other continent, man. That's what they did. They took us, enslaved us, forced us to pick cotton. It says, a nation shall come against thee from far. And this man came from far and interrupted your life, man. And took you somewhere. He didn't care about what plans you had tomorrow. He didn't care that you promised to go for breakfast with your grandma tomorrow. You're going on a slave ship, man. And you're going far. And you're going to pick cotton. And just think what was going on that slave ship. On that slave ship, they was giving people a teaspoon of water, man. You'll be shackled and they'll give you 1 teaspoon of water. And then what happened? The guy navigating the ship, he drove past his destination. He drove past the Caribbean, and there was running out of food and water supplies. And in his error, this ship was called the Zong. So in his error, what did he do? Started to drown slaves, started to throw them overboard. Why? Because they didn't have enough food for the crew and all these people to survive. So what did they do? Threw them overboard and said, you know what? We will claim it back on insurance. They said, we will claim it back on insurance. So they threw them in, they done it in bunches. They threw them off the ship. And imagine you being on the ship and you hear the screeching screams of your loved ones drowning and screaming. And this man is such the devil that he knew that these people was going to die. He didn't even unshackle them. He should have at least unshackled them and let them swim if they could swim, even though they probably would have died. At least give them the opportunity to even try and swim to safety. This man didn't do that, man. This man said they're better off dead. And he drowned them, threw them overboard. He drowned about 50 children as well. Imagine being a parent and the drowning children, and you're wondering, is it my children they're drowning? You have to wait a whole another month to find out if it was your child that drowned. And then when it lands, you're looking over for your child, you don't see your child. You know that your child was one of the ones that drowned. You're looking over, you don't see your mother. You know your mother was one of the ones that drowned. Looking for your father, you know your father was one of the ones that drowned. And people get mad at us when we say that this oppressor is the devil, man. He drowned us and he killed us, man. People was on them slave ships with this century, man. How have you pronounced it? Dysentery, which is like diarrhea. And what did he do? He just plugged them up, covered them in oil. He plugged them up, covered them in oil. You see, like when you patch up a car, he patched up black people like there was cars, so he could sell them, man. Patched them up like there was a car. Hold on, let me just get hold on, let me just show you at least to knock out your teeth with. Hold on. Hold on, is it? What's that thing called now?
What thing?
Where they used to knock out your teeth and open your mouth and force feed you. What's it called now? Nah, there's a tool they use. It's called, is it called speculum oris or something?
That the thing they use on them women in
They use it on their vaginas now.
when you smear test, isn't it?
Yeah. Back then what they used for you sisters when you smear test would use it. Yeah, it might be speculum oris.
The man that made it.
Let me type in slavery speculum oris. Obviously, these ones look nicer than the ones they used back then. There you go. This is it. Hold on. You know what? Hold on. Give me 1 second. I'll take over this one second. Mechanic's calling. Mechanic's calling. Hold on.
Slovakia. It's covering for the Dunga bar tickets back. But yeah, man, the same things that they did in slavery, were the same things used today. The tool that they use on women's vagina for the smear test, they're using that same tool on black women in slavery. That's where it comes from. The tool is named after the man that made it, man. Do the research. And that's where it comes from. What women see as a regular tool today, a black woman was screaming one time when that tool was being used on them. Black woman was screaming and crying for dear God while the oppressor had their legs pried open, experimenting on them and taking their babies out, man. And that's what they use today like it's normal. And they used to also put it in men's mouth to open their mouth to force feed them. Kick your teeth out and rip your mouth open. You swab now, yeah?
Hey, for I appreciate trying to damn sort out this vehicle. Did you show the picture of it?
Nah.
So yeah, with this tool here. Hold on. You know what? I'm going to see if I can find a video on YouTube of. There must be a video on YouTube, innit?
They're using it. Yeah, it's a bit explicit, man.
Nah, there must be a. Nah, you must like even if it's from a. Hold on, let me see. Let me see if it's just so I can show you what we went through. Morris. No, I don't think they got it. Hold on. Nah, you're not gonna find one. But they'll do that. Sometimes they'll knock your teeth out. Knock your teeth out, put the thing in, open it up, and feed you slop or feed you whatever. If you didn't want to eat, basically that was their way of saying of you better eat. That was their way of saying you better eat or else. So they'll knock your teeth out and do all of those kind of things to you, man. What else was it? Give me Deuteronomy 28 and 49. So they'll do all of that. They'll feed you water by a teaspoon. They'll throw you off the ship. They'll plug you and just oil you up because you're pale because you've been on the ship for all that time and you're sick and you're borderline dying. And then a man would come and the name is Price and be like, "Yeah, I'll take this one. I'll take the family. And listen, man, that's what they would do. You was never to see your homeland again. And these is things that they don't want us to talk about. Go ahead.
Deuteronomy 28 and 49. And the Lord shall bring a nation against thee from far, from the end of the earth.
And the Lord shall bring a nation against thee from far. Go ahead.
From the end of the earth, as swift as the eagle flieth.
As swift as the eagle flieth. And what is their symbol? The eagle, man. And the eagle represents a predator. When you look at birds, the eagle is a predator. What does the eagle do? The eagle is swift. And the eagle looks at his prey from above and swoops down on it, man. And they looked at you and swooped down on you and said, you know what? We can make money off these people. We can make money off these people. They looked down on us and swooped on us, man. And they said, you know what? Let's enslave them, man. They said, let's enslave them. And it's crazy how every time people see black people, they call us slaves, slaves, slaves. When really, the word slave comes from the 9th century when what? They had the Slavic people doing when they forced labor on them, man, in like the 9th century. So this was the Slavic people. First it was called what? Slav. It would be the Slav. So the Slavic people who was some kind of Eastern Europeans, them kind of poor countries. And then over time, imagine the term slaves comes from Slavic people, but now everybody knows us as the slaves, man. Which shows how rough our slavery was. We ain't even Slavic, but they call us slaves. Whereas, hold on, let me see if I can. Let me see if I can prove what I'm saying, because people think we only know the Bible. Yeah, they think we don't know the etymology. Hold on, let me see if it comes up. See, this don't even give you the old definition. Hold on.
Etymology?
No, I did it at the top. Hold on. Let me see if this one gives it. Hold on.
Yeah, It's medieval Latin.
Yeah, what did you type into Gaelic?
Slave, it's one.
All right, let me type it in. See? Imagine.
No, scroll down. Wait more. Right, click the first link. One right there, right there.
This one.
Yeah, see what happens.
Yeah, that's the original word, esclave. Hold on. Slav, yeah.
Yeah, because many Slavs sold into slavery.
Yeah, let me just share this one. So the etymology of the word slave, it didn't start with us, but we've been through the horriblest slavery that what? It's synonymous with us. Like Polish and Romanians caught us slaves. Listen, man. At the slave over there, actually, I stopped them from shoplifting. The Polish girl, she's gone out the door and she's gone to me, you black shit. You have to just laugh. I was like, this devil. And then the Edomites that I work with, they was like, wow, how are you so calm about it? I just said to them, well, everybody's racist. It's not the first time I've heard it. They was like, wow, do you feel like that? They was like, do you feel like that? Yeah, she's like, you black shit. And then obviously I had to kind of let these Edomites know, well, you're like a racist too. You're like just not going to be racist right now, but you're all racist. So to say anyway, well, everyone's racist, and this ain't the first time I've heard it. They was like, wow, why are you so calm about it? I said, well, this ain't the first time I've experienced racism. And was looking at me like, is it that bad? How yeah, is that bad? It's not the first time and it won't be the last time. Hold on. All right, so this is all right, so this is where the term slave comes from. It says person who's the chattel or property of another, from Old French esclave, from medieval Latin sclavus, slave, source auto of Italian schiavo, French esclave, Spanish esclavo, originally Slav, so used in the secondary sense because of the many Slavs sold into slavery by conquering people. So the term slave started with the Slavic people, and this was a nation of Eastern Europeans that was called, they was called the Slavic people. So hold on, let's drop this, and then let's see who the Slavic people are. Hold on. Let's just type in Slavic. Let's type in Slavic countries, and it will let you know who the Slavic people are. Hold on. So now, hold on. If a Romanian or whatever ever calls you a slave, this is what you should do. You just pull up some history, because this is what you should do, because they're the original slaves, because they're the Slavic people. It's just that our slavery has been so severe and the word just stuck that we've made it famous. That imagine, so it's these kind of countries here, these eastern part of European countries, like Czech Republic, and look, Slovakia, Hungary, Romania, these countries around this region, mainly Czech Republic and Slovakia. So these eastern countries was called Slavic countries, and they was conquered in the 9th century, and they just had I believe theirs was more like indentured servants. So they wasn't full-on slaves like we was. There was more like indentured servants. They got better treatment than we did. So anytime a Romanian calls you a slave, you just say to them, you're from one of them Slavic countries where the term slave originated from in the 9th century, way before we went in slavery. Listen, man, the 9th century, it was used like, man. We went in slavery in what, 15th, 16th century? Listen, we went in there. But now these countries here is the Slavic countries, and that's where the term slave came from. Then obviously it started off in the Latin. Then when over time a word just sticks. Over time a word just sticks. So then we went in slavery and the word just sounded nice. So they kept the word slave, but Slav is where it originally came from, Slav and these Slavic countries. So that's where it originally came from. You only find out this in the I.S.U.P.K. You won't find this out nowhere else. Lucky. You won't find this out nowhere else. This is why you should be getting up in these classes, man. You learn etymology of words. Go ahead.
Too busy getting beat up by shoes and that.
Exactly. Exactly. They're getting too busy getting hit with heels and all of them things. Whereas in here, you're learning out etymology of words. You're learning out about countries. Listen, man. Come in these classes, you can get the breakdowns, man. We got it all going on. So, lucky, read that verse. Where was we again?
49.
Yeah, go ahead.
And the Lord shall bring a nation against thee from far.
And this nation came from far. And once this nation came, what did they do? Oppressed the hell out of us, man. Enslaved the hell out of us, slaughtered us, threw us on ships. That's what they did. And this is a nation that don't want us to speak about what we've gone through. Imagine this. They can make documentaries about slavery all day, but we can't speak about it. You can make documentaries about black people's slavery with a white man doing the voiceover, and I can't speak about black people's problems. Listen, man. We have the right to speak about what we've gone through. Imagine this, they make slavery movies and they don't even have black people speaking about what they've gone through. They have a white man speaking about, because during slavery in 17, blah, 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 this cotton was picked here. They picked a bale of cotton a day, which is, listen, man, we want it in depth. We want to speak about it in depth so you can see what you put us through, man. So you can see the trauma that you put us through. Read on.
And the Lord shall bring a nation against thee from far, from the end of the earth, as swift as the eagle flieth, a nation whose tongue thou shalt not understand.
A nation whose tongue thou shalt not understand. And we didn't understand their language, man, until they forced it on us, beat it into us, forced us to speak English. And the best we could do in the Caribbean was a broken English, man. The best we could do is a broken English, man. Couldn't pronounce the T's and the H's together, man. And that's why we speak like that till this day, that broken English, because they forced it on us, so we can't even speak it properly, man. Obviously, only now, by us living in England, obviously over time, we've learned to speak it properly. But our grandma's generation, listen, though they try, they can't speak it at all. Though they try their hardest. And when they came to England, they told their kids, don't speak like you in Jamaica no more. Don't speak like that no more. Why? Because they wanted brownie points with the oppressor. They sin what their parents went through, how they was oppressed and beat. And in their mind, they think they're doing this to protect you because they love you. When really, what they're doing is they're just teaching you to be like the oppressor and just like him and speak like him and talk like him. Whereas they don't want you to be you no more. And then things like that is how we lose our culture. Because then we feel like, you know what? We're around these devils and we can't have our culture because they don't like it. We can't have our culture because they don't like it. Listen, man, when has anybody ever cared about what black people like, man? Nobody's never cared about what we like. So we shouldn't care about what nobody else likes, man. Listen, man, for years we've been telling these, like, listen, man, two men shouldn't be together. It's against God. It's inhumane. It's not right. And the oppressor don't care whether you like it or not, man. He comes to the slavery with his nails painted, with his eyelashes done, with his eyebrows, all of them things done, and he don't care how you feel. Imagine this: as a black man, you can't be who you want to be because this world don't like it. But then, a man can have his nails painted like a woman. A devil can have his nails painted like a woman. He can come in a skirt and high heels. And guess what? Nobody better not say anything to him. Nobody better not ask him why is he dressed like that. Nobody better not ask him why is he behaving like that. But when it comes to you, you can't be you. You can't be black. You can't have your culture. You can't speak how you speak because this world hates black people, man.
That's right.
This world hates black people. And it ain't hard to tell. It ain't hard to see. This world hates us, man. Where are we?
50.
Go ahead.
A nation of fierce
A
countenance.
nation of fierce countenance. This nation is of fierce countenance, man. You've watched them slave movies, man. Even in the movies, they look fierce, man. Even in the movies, they look fierce when they got on the long trench coat and the hat. A nation of fierce countenance, man. This is a horrible nation who just beats and whips and slaughters and kills. You could be tired and say, you know what, master, can I have a day off picking cotton today? Nah, man, you ain't getting no day off, man. You have to be dead in order to get that day off. If you ain't dead, you picking cotton tomorrow. Go ahead.
We shall not regard the person of the old, nor show favor to the young.
Which are what?
We shall not regard the person of the old, nor show favor to the young.
Which shall not regard the person of the old, nor show favor to the young. Listen, man. Young people was picking cotton, man.
That's right.
Young black babies was picking cotton. Imagine this. When you have a baby, it's supposed to be what? The best day of your life. Usually women say this is the best day of my life. Women say what? Having babies and weddings is the best day of their life. Listen, man. For a man that gets married in the church and walks down the aisle, a wedding is the worst day of his life. Have you noticed when it comes to them kind of weddings, the man can't wait for it to pass. The man can't wait for it to be over. He rubs his forehead. I can't wait for this to be over.
What it is? You like some handbag?
Nah,
You
bro.
get some accessory? Come on, picture.
Edit.
Come here, picture. Hold on. A picture me for cake. The man feels pissed off, man.
She's just dragging him everywhere, taking him to get his suit measured, all of these things. Wear this color. I want this theme for the wedding. I want that theme for the. You see, if it was up to men would never do that. Like, really, the walking on the arse stuff is for the woman, because a man don't really care about them things. You can tell in the man's face he don't really care about them things. But go ahead.
God. And he shall eat the fruit of thy cattle.
And listen, this man, even though this man had his own cattle, he wants yours, man. Though this man's got his own money, he wants yours. Though this man's got his own wife, he wants yours. Everything that you have, this man wants it, man. Everything that black people have, this man wants it. This man don't even want your wife. This man just wants to use her and abuse her and throw her back to you. Imagine this. How do you have... Listen, imagine this. Having a slave is one thing. Picking cotton and, that's one thing. That's bad enough. But then, this man, when was raping your wife? When was raping a man's wife part of the deal? When was killing a man's children and whipping them and tying them up and cutting their feet off and cutting their hand? When did that become part of the deal, man? Which lets you know this man is a fierce countenance. Now, this devil's enslaved people before, but he didn't treat them how he treated us. He didn't cut their feet off. He didn't cut their hands off. He didn't break their nose and put yokes of iron on them and all of them things. But when it comes to us, that's the things to do, man. And we should speak about these things. We should speak about these things, man. Like your slave, you should say to them, yeah, because, my great-grandma, she told me that she was a slave. Yeah, but like say they say to you, yeah, but their surnames, whatever. I was like, oh yeah, my great grandma said her slave masters, that was her surname. Let them know, listen, you better give me some change or something, man. These devils always now they want to be friends. Imagine that. Imagine if your great grandparents could see how you're in love with these Edomites, man. How you're trying to have sex with their women, how you're trying to give your daughter to their son. Imagine all them sisters that they had to forcibly rape. Imagine how they must be looking at you, knowing you're giving it up freely, man. Imagine that. You're a black woman when the Lord's got made a black man for you, and you're opening your legs to some devil, man, freely. Imagine this. You're a black man and the Lord's gave you a sister, and you don't want her. You want somebody else. Listen, man. We've been disobeying the Lord for too long, man. Now the new craze is what? Africans. Yeah. The new craze is Africans, man. I see sisters talking about the original, man. They call it the original. So what are we? What are we? It's like, hello. What are we? Doesn't they say the original? I don't want you Jamaican, man. I want the original, man. The original man that can't rap, can't win no gold medals, can't do nothing in the Olympics, can't hold a bout in boxing. Can't listen, man. Imagine this. If they're the original man, how is it that we better than the original man? Imagine this. We're meant to be the fake man. We're the fake man, but we better than the original man. It don't make no sense. Go ahead.
It's mad because when it comes to the Olympics, the Caribbeans kill it.
Mm.
Now there's 50 plus countries in Africa.
Yeah.
Come on, out of 50 countries, one of you must win at least a silver.
Exactly.
They get on the list.
Exactly.
First, second, and third, even Jamaica, Trinidad, Barbados, or some sort of order anyway. Not even close. Don't win in basketball, not the long jump. Probably the marathon, I give them that. Not javelin. Like nothing. With 50 countries, they don't dominate nothing in the country of Africa. Not football, not basketball, nothing, man.
And their population is like what? In Nigeria alone, it's like 292 million. Yeah, like 292 million. I'm sure Jamaica's only got 2 million. Yeah. And Jamaica's population's that's what? Exactly. And Jamaica's population so small, and all the sprinters come from there. Even though they lost in the relay yesterday, was it yesterday?
Against you?
Yeah, America. So obviously, that's
yeah.
So that's obviously we all the same people. So whether they win, we win. Who cares? But you know what? What Shelly did you see? They done the, I believe they done the sprint. So they got Jamaica came 1-2, and England came third. And Shelly answered something that made me want to give her a hug. She goes, you know what? She goes, technically, it's Jamaica 1-2-3 because Dina, whatever, is our sister. I was like, at least they know. I'm gonna find the article. I think she said it as a joke, but we know she knows something. At least she knows we're the same people. At least Shelly and Fraser knows. Though she's from Jamaica and we from England, we're the same people. And a lot more of us need to know this. Richard Blackwood. A lot more of us need to know this, man, that we are the same people. Don't let landmass divide us, man. Because we let landmass divide us. We think we're better than other people, why? We think we're better than our own brothers, why? Because they live in a land which is considered poor, and we live in a land which is considered rich. But all together, on a whole, as a nation, we are poor. But where was we? Hold on. Let me see what precept I want. Hold on. Get me Isaiah 45 and 18, I believe it might be. Isaiah 45 and 18. Sorry, say that again. Isn't it?
45:18.
Hold on, let me see if it's the right one. Actually, no, drop that one. Give me 1 Samuel 17 and 1, actually. And we ain't supposed to side with the oppressor in nothing, man.
17 and 1.
Yes. Yeah, 1 Samuel 17 and 1. We ain't supposed to side with the oppressor in nothing, man.
1 Samuel 17 and 1.
Like, my thing is this, man. Even if I was doing the Olympics with the oppressor, man, I'm running the other way, man. We're losing that relay. We're losing that relay. I'm going to say, listen, just put me in the 100 meters or 200 meters. I don't want to do no relay with no devil, man. I'm running the other way if I have to. So, lucky. I ain't getting no medal for him. Imagine this, there's an Edomite in the team. You know you're carrying the Edomite edit. Think about it. Let's say there's a relay team. 2 brothers and 2 devils. You know the brothers is carrying the team, innit?
Yeah, come on. It's like a football team, man.
Exactly. It's always the brothers carrying the team, man.
Samuel 17 and 1. And the Philistines gathered together their armies to battle. And they were gathered together to Shakar, which belongs to Judah.
So now the Philistines gathered their armies together to battle. And who was they trying to battle? The Israelites, man. There wasn't no Philistines siding with the Israelites and no Israelites siding with the Philistines and saying we're all one religion, we're all one race. They wasn't doing that. Go ahead.
And pitched between Shakar and Azkah in Ephraim, and Saul and the men of Israel were gathered together and pitched on the valley of Elah.
And now the Philistines is on one side, The Israelites is on one side. That's how it's supposed to be, man. Nations is supposed to be separate. You're supposed to fight for your nation, man. This is why you ain't supposed to join no next military. Why? Because you're supposed to fight for your nation. And David was a righteous man that fought for his nation. And guess what? Goliath was an African that fought for his nation, man. Goliath said, listen, we're going to go to war. And read it. We're going to read it, actually. Go ahead.
Come. And Saul and the men of Israel were gathered together and pitched in the valley of Elah and set the battle in array against the Philistines.
And now there was to do battle against the Philistines. Nowadays, we would try and join the Philistines for peace and say, you know what? Let's just all be one. Nah. Understand this. When you join another nation, one nation ends up serving that next nation, man. One nation ends up being the top. One nation ends up being the bottom. And we've joined all these nations thinking we're going to get equality. And I ain't seen it happen yet.
That's right.
I ain't seen black people get equality yet while joining these nations. Why? Because every race wants to be on top. Every race. Listen, man, there's only one prize, and that nation wants to rule. And there's one position at the top. There's one position at the top, and both nations can't be at the top. So if you join a nation, you're going to be at the bottom. And that's what happens with us. We're just passive. We don't mind being at the bottom. So this is why these nations are like, yeah, them black people there. Because they don't mind. Because you don't mind being at the bottom. And they want authority. Whereas Russia and Ukraine both want to be at the top, man.
That's right.
They're fighting, dropping bombs and everything. Because they both want to be at the top. Whereas with us, we just give in too easily. Nah, man. The Philistines tried to do this to the Israelites, which is us. We need to get the same spirit back that we had back then, man. Go ahead.
Come on. And the Philistines stood on the mountain on the one side, and Israel stood on the mountain on the other side.
And listen, man, them Philistines stood on one side, and we stood on one side. That's how it should be today. Let them stay on one side, and we stay on one side, man. Go ahead.
Come on. And there was a valley between them.
And there was a valley between them. So there was a valley, which is like what? A ditch. You could say.
Between two mountains.
Which is like a ditch between two mountains. So they're on that side, we're on that side. There's like a valley between us. So we're having a standoff, we're having a stare off. Go ahead.
Come. And there went out a champion out of the camp of the Philistines.
And there went out a champion out of the camp of the Philistines. So this was Goliath. This was a man who was a warrior. Because obviously you have warriors in every nation. You have soldiers and warriors in every nation. This was one out of the Philistines. Go ahead.
Named Goliath of Gath.
Named Goliath of Gath. So everyone's hearing, at first, Israel's on one side. They've seen Goliath of Gath. Said this is a big African man. People tried lie and say he was a giant, and he was just a tall African man. No different to Anthony Joshua. All this is just Anthony Joshua. That's all it is. This right here is just Anthony Joshua, or this is Derek Chisora or someone. That's all it is. Nothing, no big deal. People make out like this man was the size of, a house or something. They're exaggerating. Goliath was estimated about 12 feet, 13 feet, something like that.
Yeah, tall though.
Which is tall. But people make out like this man.
3-4 giant.
This man made out like this man was super tall. And when he walks, the earth shakes and is massive. They made that like he's like Goro from Mortal Kombat with 4 arms. No, it weren't that. It was just a tall African. Go ahead. And there's tons of these tall Africans today, so lucky. Tons of them. There's a tribe of tall Africans. Have you seen them?
God.
And they're super tall. Even the women, they got the rings around their neck and they listen, man. They look disgusting, man. Go ahead.
Whose height was 6 cubits and a span.
Whose height was 6 cubits and a span. So you measure a cubit from the tip of your middle finger to your elbow. So you measure a cubit like that. But obviously, depending on who measures from their elbow to their finger, everyone's cubit would be different. So to estimate the exact.
See, Google knows how tall
Google might lie. Let me see. How tall was? Google, see, not even the tall. Google's saying he's only 7 feet 11 inches.
That's it.
It's probably about that because I'm sure it was 9 feet.
7 foot. Not that tall.
That's not that
tall. It's tall still.
Oh, we say this not that tall, like we tall and shit. The way we say it is like we tall and shit.
Also, especially like, he's a warrior as well.
Like, that's just under 8 inches though.
You don't see him.
That's just under 8 inches.
That's a basketball player.
Wait. How tall? Let me see how tall Shaq is.
That's a basketball player with a sword in his hand. You don't want a piece of that.
Yeah. How tall is Shaq? Because we're saying it ain't that tall, and Shaquille O'Neal's a tall nigga, so he's 7 foot. It's tall. Yeah, it's taller than Shaquille. That's tall still. So basically, he's got 10 inches on Shaquille O'Neal. Obviously, that's just an estimate.
And he got a sword as well.
And he's got a sword as well.
Battle really fucking up.
Yeah. We say that's not that tall, like to say, like to say he ain't got almost 2 feet on us. Go ahead.
God. All right. Go on. He had a helmet of brass upon his head.
And he had a helmet of brass upon his head. This man came out ready for war. Go ahead.
And he was armed with a coat of mail.
And he's armed with a coat of mail. Go ahead.
And the weight of his coat was 5,000 shekels of brass.
Listen, that's heavy. That is.
And he had greaves of brass upon his legs.
And this man came out ready for battle. Full. He had on the full outfit for battle. He was ready to scrap. He said he was a champion. He came out and he wanted to fight the Israelites. He's saying, yo, let's have a fair one. You know, someone says, let's have a one-on-one. He's saying, yo, I'm the Philistines' best champion. You Israelites send out your best champion. And then all the Israelites started looking around thinking, I ain't fighting that. I ain't fighting him. Everyone started looking around saying, I ain't fighting him. I ain't fighting him. Go ahead. Until a man of the Lord called David rose up. I don't even know if we're going to get to that for time's sake, but go ahead.
God. And the target of brass between his shoulders, and the staff of his spear was like a weaver's beam, and the spear's head weighed 600 shekels of iron, and one bearing a shield went before him.
This man came ready for battle, shield, shekels of iron, helmet. Go ahead.
And he stood and cried unto the armies of Israel, and said unto them, why are ye come out to set battle in array?
This man was ready for the battle, man. Go ahead.
Am I not a Philistine? And you, servants of Saul, choose you a man for you, and let him come down to me.
And now this man said, choose you a man. And these two, he said, choose a man. So he could go fight this man in the valley. He said, choose one of you men. And he was going to go fight one of the men in the valley, man. He said, choose you a man. Go on, go ahead.
If he be able to fight with me and kill me, then will we be your servants?
And Goliath basically said, I'll fight this man for my nation. And if we win, you be our servants. If we lose, we'll be your servants. But Goliath's saying, I'm coming to fight a man. What Goliath's basically saying is, listen, man, you have to kill me in order for me to serve you. And he's saying, you send out a man likewise like that. That's the same spirit that we're supposed to have, man. Not of Goliath, obviously, of David, man, because David did come out to fight. David said, you know what? I'm going to come out. Let's quickly get the David part. Jump to verse 41. Goliath said, I'm not going to serve you, but send me a man down to fight. And we should have the spirit of David, man, because David went to fight, man. David wasn't like everybody else who was fearful. He was looking around thinking, who's going to go fight this man because of his size and his stature. Listen, man. Don't be scared of don't be scared of the size of someone. Let me give you some nonsense that Jamaicans like to say. A small axe cuts down a big tree. You hear that nonsense? That makes me laugh every time I hear a small axe cuts down a big tree. All of this nonsense.
Verse 41. And the Philistines came on and drew near unto David, and the man that bare the shield went before him. And when the Philistine looked about and saw David, he was disdained, for he was but a youth and ruddy.
Meaning he looked at David and said, yo, who's this child, man? He was a youth and but ruddy. Obviously, ruddy don't mean red or light skin. Ruddy back then meant like what? Beautiful or whatever. He looked at him and said, who is this? This is the man you sent to fight me. Goliath, a big almost 8 foot man or whatever. Shield, everything. He looked at David as a youth with no armor, no nothing. I said, this is who you've sent to fight me. The Philistines must have been thinking, this is an easy victory. Understand this, man. It don't matter how we look. When the Lord's with us, we can take out anybody, man. It don't matter how we look. If the Lord's with us, we can take out anybody. Go ahead. We're probably going to read to 47 and wrap it up.
And the Philistines said unto David, Am I a dog that thou comest to me with staves? And the Philistine cursed David by his gods.
And he cursed David by his gods, man. Meaning these Philistines wasn't trying to serve nobody else's gods. They had their own God. The Philistines cursed David by his gods. Go ahead.
And the Philistines said unto David, Come to me, and I will give thy flesh to the fowls of the air.
Listen, man, he's talking that big talk, man. You know, when people say, yo, come to me, I'll do this to you. Goliath's talking all of that, man. Goliath's talking all of that mad stuff. Come to me, I'm gonna give you to the fowls of the air, meaning I'm gonna kill you, man. That's what he's saying. Come to me, I'm gonna lay you out, I'm gonna kill you and whatnot. Go ahead.
And to the beasts of the field. Then said David to the Philistines, Thou comest to me with a sword. Okay. Thou comest to me with a sword and with a spear and a shield, but I come unto thee in the name of the Lord of hosts.
Man. Everywhere you go in the name of the Lord, man. And then you won't be fearful, because you know whatever happens is what the Lord wants to happen. While it is, we rely on ourselves and think, you know what? I can't do this. I can't do this. We need to stop trying to put the Lord in a box, man, because the Lord can do whatever he wants. David said, I come to you in the name of the Lord. To this 8-foot man, everybody else around David must have been thinking, what's he on about? Probably had no faith in him. If they had an option to switch sides back then, they probably would have went on that side and said, you know what, I'm gonna go with Goliath. I'm gonna put my money on Goliath. They want to put their money on David. Listen, man. If the Lord is with you, man, everybody better put their money on you every single time, man. Because listen, 8-foot might mean something to man. 8 foot don't mean nothing to the Lord,
That's
man.
right.
8 foot don't mean nothing to the Lord. Read on.
The God of the armies of Israel, who ye have defiled, this day will the Lord deliver you into mine hand, and I will smite thee, and take thy head from thee, and I will give the carcasses of the host of the Philistines this day unto the fowls of the air, and the wild beasts of the earth.
Jump down to 48.
And it came to pass, when the Philistine arose and came and drew nigh to meet David, that David hasted and ran toward the army to meet the Philistine. And David put his hand in his back and took thence a stone and slang it and smote the Philistine in the forehead.
Listen, man, this is what you can do when you serve the Lord, man. When you serve the Lord, man, things that you think you can't do, you'll be able to do, man. I don't care if someone's 8 foot, 9 foot, 10 foot. You serve the Lord, man. You can do anything, man. You serve the Lord. Go ahead. David threw a stone in this Philistine's head, cracked his skull with a stone. And listen, don't believe that fake picture circulating on the internet. There's a picture circulating on the internet. Have you seen it?
Yeah, with the stone in that
where there's the stone in his forehead. Hold on, let me see if I can find this nonsense. You seen it?
Yeah, 8 days ago. Man, like we found the Goliath.
Goliath.
That shit was right 8 days ago. Goliath is petrol right now. Fossil fuel.
Is it this one? No, that's what. No, it's not that one. There's a better one than that. Hold on. Let me see if I can find it. The fake picture circulating. Is it this one?
One of those.
This one.
In 2 locations. Look, which one can it be? One in the stone to the side, one stone back.
Exactly, which lets you know.
You see it?
There's one there.
In the forehead.
There's one there, and there's one on the side.
Yeah.
There's one. Which one is it? There's one.
The one with the stone in there to stay, the large in there.
Probably this one.
Large.
The bigger them. Yeah. So. Yeah, and that's meant to be. Hold on. Let me screen share it. Hold on. So this is what they will tell you is they'll tell you that this right here is a Goliath's skull. Don't believe all of these things, the fake. It's all nonsense. It's all Photoshop. And the proof that this is fake as well, if you know the Bible, you know that David cut Goliath's head off, right?
Yeah.
David cut Goliath's head off, so why is Goliath's head still on the neck right there? Why is Goliath's head still on his neck if David cut it off? So these things right here is fake. Most of the things that you see on the internet is fake, and don't believe it. Or even archaeologists, even though these things ain't real. So all of them things is fake. But with that brings us to the end of the class. Clap it over here. Tomorrow we Captain Crush at 7 p.m. All right, then Shalom, Israel.
Done 1K student to teacher. Men of Israel, I might